You ever question the findings that the authorities gave to you that this was suicide?
No, I mean, I'm not a detective. I watched Scooby-Doo growing up, but that's what everybody seems to be acting like, is they're, part of the mystery machine. But my Lord, like, let my wife, let her be at peace. Like, she's in heaven. She's not worrying about all this stuff. Let her rest. Let her memory rest. She had suicidal tendencies over and over, year after year. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Need a minute.
Oh man. Oh man.
Do you feel that you did anything that you would change? Do you feel any part responsible?
God, that's a great question. Man, that's such a good question. Wow, what a good question. Can I have a second to think about it?
Sure.
Okay. Oh my gosh, what would I do differently? Oh man. I know what I do. I know what I do. I would not involve her family when she's having mental episodes and is schizophrenic and is off her meds. I would never have taken.
Jean-Paul Miller is either a really unlucky guy with a set of circumstances that just kind of have ricocheted and rolled over one after another, right? Wife commits suicide. There's a lot of questions about that situation. Then he has a lawsuit that drops from a woman who at the time, she claims when she was 15 years old, she was assaulted by Pastor Jean-Paul Miller. And, he's got all these things levied against him, right? He's either a really unlucky guy or a complete manipulator. Somebody who somehow staged the death of his wife, was able to get away with murder because he has not been formally charged. It's been a lot of speculation. The investigation itself brings a lot of questions about Mica Miller and this whole situation. Oh, and let me correct the record here, actually. It's not just one lawsuit. There are two lawsuits. So he is facing two lawsuits accusing him of sexual assault, that he was sexually assaulting underage girls. Okay. So the two women came forward alleging that Jean-Paul Miller sexually assaulted them years before while he was working as a teacher and a pastor at a church that his father founded. His father's actually mentioned in one of those lawsuits, and his father kind of overlooked it and did nothing when his son allegedly assaulted these two individuals. So there was the first lawsuit. Now we have a second lawsuit, and both of these individuals were minors at the time. Now, Mica Miller's family has also levied a lot of allegations against Jean-Paul. Mica Miller's family believe that Jean-Paul Miller had abused Mica even after their divorce and whatnot, tracking her whereabouts. I mean, all of this was found, and yet no charges came about from this situation. But there's still more scandal. There is still more scandal that surrounds Jean-Paul Miller. And that, my friends, is the death of a veteran who basically is said to have drowned in a pool after finding out that his wife was having an affair with Jean-Paul Miller. I don't know about you guys, but Mica Miller, it's said to have shot herself in the head in like the river. This man, who's a quadriplegic, ends up in the water too. Something about water that surrounds this man. And overall, none of this is quite making sense to me. Mica Miller's death didn't make sense. Still doesn't make sense. Now the death of this man. And then the scandals that have followed and surrounded the fact that he had a woman who at the time was 15 years old file a lawsuit against him in that church when he was in a position of power in that church. And his father knew about it. Jean-Paul Miller, that's what's been reported in that lawsuit. There's so much scandal that surrounds this guy. I mean, he's either really unlucky or just a real evil person that disguises himself as like a church person, a holier person. It's been said that you have to be careful the people that you associate yourself with at a church, because sometimes those are the worst ones. I covered this situation with John Paul Miller, somehow connected to the death of a man who also allegedly committed suicide, and we have to talk about it. If you missed it, here it is. So, a paralyzed vet took his own life after learning of wife's affair with controversial South Carolina pastor. And who's that pastor? Pastor John Paul Miller, a paralyzed Army vet who drowned in a pool, a swimming pool, may have taken his own life because he discovered his wife was having an affair with the pastor. This is what his sister claims. This guy, and here's the deal. There's something about water with this guy. Mica Miller, water. This guy, this Army vet, water. Chris Skinner, 41, was found dead in a neighborhood pool in Myrtle Beach. It wasn't his own pool, it was in a neighborhood pool. Both the cops and the coroner's office eventually declared the case an accidental drowning and ended their probe. But the coroner's office recently reopened its investigation, although there's no suggestions that the case involves foul play. It would be fair to say that the coroner has reopened the case because there's been evidence that came forward. It could potentially not be an accident. How did he end up in that pool? In what neighborhood pool? She pointed to conflicting descriptions of how Skinner got into the pool from the police and the coroner's reports, despite the fact that both parties viewed the same CCTV footage. While the coroner wrote that Skinner appeared to have gotten too close to the edge of the pool and slipped in, the police report stated that he had stopped at a curve in the pool before suddenly moving forward and into the water. There's also a new witness testimony contradicting the evidence given by Skinner's wife, Susie, and others to the police at that time. When looking at the police reports and coroner's reports, it is clear that there are some inconsistencies. Also, it was acknowledged that some of what was said at the scene may be inaccurate, she said without elaborating. Skinner became a quadriplegic at the age of 20, a year after he'd been in the Army, because of a car crash. He and Susie fell in love when she was assigned to him as a physical therapist while he was in recovery. 2 weeks before Skinner's death, he confronted a controversial pastor, John Paul Miller, demanding that Miller end his alleged affair with Susie. 2 weeks before Skinner's death, he confronted John Paul Miller. Miller's wife, Mica Miller, was discovered dead in the River State Park in North Carolina on April 27th last year. It's about to hit the year mark, from a self-inflicted gunshot wound days after she filed for divorce from her husband. She was found in the water, In November, the FBI searched John Paul's home, although the reason is unknown. And I know he's being sued by someone in the community as well. John Paul Miller is. Miller has repeatedly denied having an affair with Susie, but earlier this month, Susie admitted to the affair as part of the separate legal case Miller is facing regarding allegations that he raped a girl, a 15-year-old girl in 1998, which we've talked about, a crime he has denied. Chris Skinner fell out with Miller's church, Rock Solid Ministries, and with Miller himself about 4 to 5 months before his death, after 3 years of attending the worship there. Chris definitely voiced that he did not like the pastor at the church, and he did stop going to church there. He was in some emotional pain, and he was having a hard time. He was pulling away and distancing himself. This guy, oh my God, John Paul Miller is trash. At the time of Skinner's death, the investigators did not speak to McDermott or his parents, despite the fact that they all lived in Myrtle Beach, after they were incorrectly told that Skinner had no family in town. Essentially, the police took the word of the people that were on the scene at that time. It's crazy. So Skinner's case is being reopened as a direct result of his association with Miller due to the huge public interest in Mica's death. This exposure has led to a significant number of witnesses coming forward. She hopes the truth will come out about her brother's death. I just want the truth because the truth brings healing. And then it results in peace. I would like to feel peaceful when I think about my brother's passing. Chris honestly is one of the most resilient people I've ever known. He's just pushed through everything. So, rep from the coroner's office responded, in response to your questioning regarding this case, the coroner's investigation is separate from the investigation conducted by Myrtle Beach Police. Our case remains open at the time. So, Rock Solid Ministries did not respond to any comment. I don't think that this is just some unlucky guy who, his wife, his ex-wife committed suicide and everybody's blaming him, and now he's got all these lawsuits, and suddenly there's like allegations, and then there's a potential, maybe not real suicide that happened with this other man who ended his life because his wife was having an affair with this pastor. I don't believe that this is like a really bad year for him. I think that this is the time where if you play with God's name, and if you do believe in God, that's up to you. But if you play with it, which I think has been happening a lot with this man, he's played in front of people's faces, he's lied, and he's done a couple things here and there, and like it'll come out. It'll come out, and just like that, he's gonna have to at some point face the consequences. It may not be for Mica's death, but it's going to be for something else. Something is really off about this whole thing, in my opinion. That's all I'm giving about that. Did you guys know about this death and the connection to John Paul Miller? I mean, let me know what you guys think in the comments. This guy shouldn't even be in churches or anything. Like, it sounds like he just feeds, or at least attaches himself to vulnerable people, and he just kind of latches himself to that, and then he exploits and hurts them and does different things. That's what it sounds like to me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.